Good morning, Susan. How are you?
Good morning. I'm feeling great. How are you, Alessandro?
I'm very great as well. Today we talk about the power of perspective and shifting our mindset to handle criticism. How do you feel about this subject?
To be honest, it's a tough one
Mm-hmm.
because it's a topic I've also struggled with for a long time. And sometimes when I'm in my, let's say, vulnerable moments, it's also like hard for me. I would say I handle it a lot better than a couple of years ago, but yeah, it's a tough one.
Actually, you said that you, in your vulnerable moment, you feel more weak, of course, and it's harder to handle. And we can avoid criticism. Actually, we have all the time. And you said right, sometimes we are stronger, sometimes we are weaker. And being able to handle these feedbacks, negative feedbacks, is very powerful for our peace, inner peace.
Yeah. I think, now when we talked about it, I think especially when I feel a little bit vulnerable, I think criticism is kind of like lighting up a fire of doubts I already have.
Mhm.
So it's kind of multiplying what's also already inside me at that time. So when I'm already doubting, is that the right way? Should I do this or not? And so on, then pretty quickly, I would say I take criticism personally instead of
Mhm.
saying, okay, let's see first. Is that helpful for me? Is it not? What's the sender's intention? Is it like according to my values? Is it helping my result? That's what I would usually do when I'm feeling like say strong and stable on the inside, but when
Mhm.
not, it's
When we are not, when we are weak, I feel that we take it more into our identity. We connect the negative feedback to our identity, and we think, okay, now I'm not good anymore. They're saying that I'm not enough, I'm not prepared, I'm not whatever. And in this case, it's very difficult to switch to a open-minded mindset, because when we can be open with our mind, we can also see what is really inside the message, what is really inside the feedback that people can give us or gave us.
yeah. And I think that's really the challenge also with criticism, that we when we take it personally and we make it about ourselves, then it really touches us like on a really deep level. But when we make it about the subject, let's say, for example, I don't know, I wrote a blog post and somebody's saying, you know what, it's lacking this and this information. I can say, shit, I'm not a good writer. Or I can say, you know what? Okay, so what is he actually saying? And I can make it about my blog post and how to improve the result. And I think when I focus on the result and when I start checking, okay, is it like helping with my result? Is the feedback helping with my result? Is he or she a writer herself? So is she or he qualified to give me feedback? And if yes, that's the case, then it would be good and helpful for me to take it seriously, because then it can improve my writing and I can create a better blog post, just as an example.
Yeah, you're totally right. I like the point about people who are expert in something, because sometimes we take personally a negative feedback also from people we don't care, we don't know, and they don't know about what we are doing, and they don't know also about the subject. I see in nowadays we see comments in all the posts, all the videos online, and everybody want to attack the the publisher who posted the video, and but actually most of the time they don't know anything about the subject. I like a lot talking about this subject because I'm Italian and we are crazy about football, crazy in general, but about football most of all. And it's so funny. I really kept distance from football now, but it's amazing the Monday morning when you go to the bar and you start to listen the other people who talk. Almost everybody talk about sport, about football, but how this manager did this wrong decision, how that player did that one that was a big mistake, and how they will act in a different way. But actually, they don't know anything about what's going on, and so people like so much to talk and to give advices for something they don't know. People like to judge and to say something anytime. This is the big problem.
Yeah, and I think that's the interesting part. Sometimes it's important to differentiate when it's judging and when not. So, because sometimes I also remember, like, my parents, they really want to help me in any situation. They want to be helpful. So I know their intention is positive. But sometimes the advice actually doesn't help because they haven't been in that situation yet. So and it's like sometimes for me, it's also, I feel it's my task to say, thank you for your good intention, but I'm not taking your advice, but
Yeah.
I appreciate your intention. I think this is also, for me, this is important to make a difference, because sometimes, as you say, like, people just criticize out of jealousy. Sometimes they're just jealous because they're like, you know what, this is actually cool, so I make you small just to make myself feel bigger. And I spill a little bit of poison on your plate, and let's see if you take it or not. But yeah, sometimes the intention is good, just the advice is maybe not that helpful.
Yeah, and it's very important to understand if it's a constructive feedback or destructive feedback. And exactly what you said, when it's destructive, it's more about the other person point of view, unsatisfaction, jealousy, or bad feeling. When it's positive, it's a way to make you grow, to improve your situation, and it's fine. We are not expert. We didn't burn knowing how to give feedbacks and how to help people. And so sometimes we want to help, but we are not good. How you said with your parents, they had the best intentions, but in that moment they said maybe something wrong, or they give a not the best advice for you. Also because often we give an advice or we comment based on our life or how we lived or how we believe something. So it's very important to understand that the other person's life is the other person's life. It's not mine. I can tell you what to do now because I'm not living your situation. It's your life.
And I think it's really also important to keep in mind when somebody is making a comment in any ways like that can be seen as critical or like something like criticizing, they actually reveal their own mindset to us and their own way of thinking and their own like ideas of what might be right and what might be wrong. But what might be right and what might be wrong for them, not necessarily for us. And I think then what comes into play is, I think, like being confronted with criticism is also a good measurement to see how strong we are already on the inside, how stable we are on the inside as a person. because when we are like completely, when we feel aligned with what's right for us, what feels good for us with our values, and when we move forward with our goals and motivations and so on, and we are fine with that, and then somebody wants to say, you know what, your content annoys me, your podcast is boring, your whatever. I think when you don't have like a stable idea of, okay, no, you know what, I know I'm providing value of that, I know it's important for some people, I know it's all right, and it's a lot easier to just say, you know what, thank you, but no, I will do it anyways.
Yeah.
But when you're already like struggling anyways, and you're like, you know what, maybe what we're doing is just not so great, and then it will be hard.
Yeah, and you take everything so emotional, and your emotions create some bad results and doubts and a negative attitude to the other person, and maybe sometimes you also overreact to this feedbacks. I saw this what you said about my situation now, that I'm leaving Switzerland in 1 week, and 2 months ago, 3 months ago, when I decided, I wasn't sure. I really wasn't sure. So everybody was saying, why you do this one? Why you do that one? Why you leave Switzerland? That is so amazing, it's so safe and so whatever. And you should just find your place. You just do that one. And I often doubted myself and said, okay, maybe they're right. Maybe it's not what I should do. And the most I thought about, I had this kind of thought, and the most of the people had this kind of comments. And when I start to switch to, I know that this process is good for me, and I want to do this trip and live in Switzerland and go abroad. And in the moment that I was so convinced inside myself, also the other people start to support me, because when we talked, they saw somebody who wasn't doubting about himself and wasn't searching an answer from them.
Yeah.
I know that I'm taking the right path, and they started to support me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the point. Like in the end, criticism has more to do with the one receiving it than with the one actually, also with the one sending it, but how it's taking is like, has a lot to do with the one receiving it. So meaning like you can say, you know what, thank you, but no, or you can say, wait, maybe I can learn something interesting. Or you can say, okay, so what do you want to say about me? There are so many ways to interpret the same thing, and that interpretation will generate a certain, like, yeah, will create a certain emotion in you. When you say, oh, thank you, that person wants to help me, you will feel differently about it than when you say, oh shit, yeah, like what I'm doing right now is really crap. It will be different.
Yeah, exactly. And it is the point that we have the opportunity to react in different ways. And at this point, maybe if we feel bad about the feedback, maybe we can start also to ask some questions. Maybe we can also to go deeper what they really want to say about what they said. Because sometimes we think to understand, but we didn't know anything. So maybe sometimes we take it as a bad feedbacks, and so it creates bad emotions inside us, but actually they wanted to help us.
Yeah. And I think also when we feel like criticism is touching us, I mean that's what I do in these moments, because I have my moment when really criticism is touching me, definitely. And then usually I take my time to see what I need, because very often in these moments, it's when I'm like already a little harsh with myself, when I'm lacking a little bit of self-love. So these are actually moments for me where I feel I need to be extra kind with me, because I know there is kind of like a vulnerable part inside that needs a little bit of fixing. So I think anyways, criticism always gives a valuable message in both ways. Like can help you, can help you to understand yourself better, can help you on your path towards your results, or it can be both.
This one I'm not sure. I'm not really, I don't 100% agree, because I don't think that any time criticism is useful, because some kind of criticisms are very bad for us, for people, and are just a way to hurt other people.
But do you think criticism will really hurt you if you not react to it?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Do you really think criticism can hurt you if you do not react to it? If you just observe it? And
no, this one I totally agree. I agree that I can also stay blank, don't react, don't give a shit about what they say. I just think that not everything can have a good purpose. I can analyze.
oh no, I also, and that's not what I meant. But
Okay.
I say it can help on your way. It means
Okay.
what I mean by that, even destructive criticism can help you in a sense that it makes you stronger and it can help you and support you to find a path to manage this type of criticism as well. Because I think at some point, I mean, I've also already been faced with criticism that was definitely destructive and that was not like meant with good intentions. And I could feel there was pure jealousy in behind. And at that moment when that happened, it was really hurting me, because I didn't have like the inner resources yet to manage this type of criticism. But right now, to be honest, I mean, I learned from it. I took it as a learning, and now I know how to manage it and also how to differentiate constructive criticism from criticism that is just, yeah, sometimes like people are just having a bad day and they just want to drag you into it. No, it's like sometimes people are just looking for somebody so they do not feel so alone in their bad mood. And it's like, come on, come with me, come on, I want to make you feel bad as well. And it's like, oh, no. They just bail at you and you're like, thank you.
And how you learned to handle?
Super honest, I've been in therapy myself. So, and there I really learned to see to understand that a first step before actually reacting to criticism is always like looking at the intention, like kind of like making a small stop before you react and like take a moment, reflect about it, feel about it, and say, okay, is it a helpful intention? Who's the one giving me the feedback? Will it be helpful? Is the feedback respectful? Is the feedback resourceful? And if it doesn't tick these boxes, it very probably goes into the corner of destructive. And it goes into the corner of, well, like it deserves to be ignored.
I feel that the pause, it's very powerful, and I had the same I had a problem in the past that I overreact too fast. I didn't give the time to the message to reach the mind and the heart and to analyze what was really inside the message. And I feel just hurt And I said, oh, no, this is not possible. You can't say this one to me and blah, 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 all this shit. And now I use a bit more the time of stay silent. Don't say fucking nothing for a couple of seconds and just calm down and
Yeah.
understand 1 second what's going on. And then maybe talk. Maybe. Not always is necessary to talk. Maybe sometimes you just need to stay silent and let it go. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but not everything worth an answer.
Yes. And I think in a certain way, that's an advantage of social media. As you said, like a lot of people are posting comments. Some might be nice, some might not be so nice. But social media gives you a chance to make that pause easily. It's because it's not like an instant reaction. I think it's more challenging when you're in a one-to-one conversation and you're just like another person is waiting for you to react like right away in a certain way. And when you make this pause, it's like that.
Oh, he didn't say anything, so maybe.
But yeah, for me, it really also depends on the person, because, for example, I have a friend of mine that is sometimes giving me feedback, and I say that really, it's for me, it's a difference in between criticism and feedback. And sometimes also her feedback is, I mean, she's telling me something where she's like, you know what, maybe this or this, not so much, like from her experience, from a professional experience as well. And I really appreciate her experience a lot. And like usually she says like, don't get this the wrong way, but this and this and this. And I already know that she wants to make sure I don't take it the wrong way. And I find that really cute. And I know that her intention is really a good one. And I love her feedback because I know usually her feedback is right on spot and extremely helpful. And I love to receive her feedback.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that's like, I usually already have like certain types of people where I quite well know, or like where I know, okay, this is a type of feedback I love to receive as well.
And from your side, do you sometimes avoid to give feedbacks so you can avoid to hurt people?
Now I'm doing that less because I would say that's the thing. Like then I would, because if I would not give feedback, I would reinforce that idea that feedback hurts.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when feedback is helpful, why would I not want to help a person, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would rather like to reframe that in that way and say, okay, will it help the person to receive the result that he or she wants to achieve? What I did a lot less now, and is actually sometimes people ask for my advice and ask for feedback. And sometimes I tell them, you know what, I'm not the right person to give you that feedback. Because as we discussed earlier, I think also it's super important to be an expert in that field. And that also sometimes means just shut your mouth when you're not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like, and that's what I usually try to respect as well, like saying no, when I feel in a position, when I have a lot of experience in the field and somebody's asking for feedback, I give it, but when not, I won't.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore.
It's fair enough, this point. Also because we risk just to make more damages and create more doubts in the person, and we
Yeah.
don't help them. It's a lot, I think, about love, because when we talk to somebody, when we want to help somebody, it's a form of love.
Yeah.
And if I want to help, I want to do it in a loving way, not in a way that I hate the other person. And this is also, it's also about closing my mouth that I can showing love, because I'm not the good person. I'm not in the good moment. I'm not in the good mood, maybe. So sometimes it's also good to understand that showing love, it's also not giving an advice.
Yes, it is. I mean, seriously, also sometimes I have my, like, let's say bad moments where I'm just like, I call it my me moments. It means that I'm like in the mood where like, nah, just a little bit grumpy.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, to be honest, in these moments, I also tend to criticize people. I know that. I have like these moments and, but my husband, for example, he's super clever at that. He knows when I have these moments. And he pushes it so nicely back at me. I love that. He says like, you know what? No, you just have like one of your moments. And no, I'm not going to take this seriously from you now. And I'm like, oh, thank God. I mean, in this moment, it kind of like annoys me because I know he's hell right.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good because also I think it's also a great example that shows like really like especially when we are like in this like destructive criticism mood, it's this when we are saying it or when we receive it from somebody else, it's really not about us, but about the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's also in my grumpy moments, it's about me.
Yeah, it's about
me and yeah, something that's going on inside me that is not.
Yeah, exactly. It's our unsatisfaction about something.
Yeah.
Unhappiness about something. And that's why when you said before, maybe somebody is going through a bad day, a bad moment, and so they want to find just a target to send some shit and say something bad. And it's also about us. And it's also about our bad days that sometimes we criticize somebody. And understanding ourselves that sometimes we are in the bad mood, it helps us to understand the other person when they throw shit about us and to detach our identity to the message.
Yeah. So maybe next time we should just give them a hug.
I love you so much.
So, huh?
I want to ask you something because you mentioned several times about being vulnerable. Sorry. What makes you vulnerable?
That's a good question. I think so. Usually, when I create my bad days, and I say I create them,
Mm-hmm.
it's when I stop caring enough, like about myself, and that's usually also the moments when I start creating my downsides. So meaning when I stop meditating, when I stop like following my healthy routines, when I stop eating healthy, when I stop exercising, so when I stop doing everything that actually makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Or another thing is unexpected life events. I mean, meaning, I don't know, like a friend is moving away or a family member gets sick or something like that. I mean, this sure also generates vulnerability for me. It does.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It affects me. How about you?
The point that you said about the routine, I noticed as well.
Yeah.
In the moment that I stop my routine, my happy routine, I start to feel a bit worse about myself and judging myself a bit more. And something that doesn't help me a lot at all is sleeping not enough. When I'm tired, the next day I feel very, very grumpy. Me too. It's it's so annoying. I start to feel that everything is wrong, and even messages that are not for me, I took it personally. Maybe someone is saying about, maybe someone we know say something to you, and I say, oh shit, it was saying something to me actually. And so sleeping for my health, for my mental health, is super important. I really need to sleep good, sleep enough. That doesn't mean 10 hours. From my side, it's enough. 7 hours, 6.5, it's fine. I'm very good. And also having kind of goals. I mean, when I feel I'm not going anywhere, I feel lost, and I feel that something wrong is going in my life. So I need a kind of purpose.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's the same like when you go traveling and you don't know where to go, you go around in circles and it's frustrating, right? I mean,
Yeah,
or you
exactly.
do not even start because you're like, where to go?
And this is very challenging.
I know. So yeah, and I think that's also a great summary for today, right? Because I think now what we discussed were two things. Like first was like how to manage criticism and how to handle it.
Mhm.
And the other part was also how to create the inner stability in order to handle it. And I think these are basically the two parts, like, right? One is the technical one is also really how to maintain an inner stability routine in a certain way, right?
Exactly. So thank you so much for this summarize. And next week, we're going to talk about how to solve conflicts at work.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.